Hello, my friends. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. My name is Jason, and this is the Outstanding Life Show. Here we talk about everything that's related to recovery. We talk about mindfulness. We talk about addiction. There's quite a range of topics that we cover. The main thing we jump into right away is each one of these months. So January will be the first month of the year. We have 12 steps in the recovery program. We also have 12 months. So as we go through each month, we'll go through the different steps. So in the first season, we actually had one big topic, and with that topic, we ended up going pretty deep into that topic. We went for like a good 30 minutes. But we're going to do it differently in season 2. We're going to do short topics, and then with those short topics, we're going to go and just have more often. So we're going to have more episodes more frequently, but we're going to go shorter in length. The goal is to aim for like 10-15 minutes, nothing crazy. But I wanted to jump in and say hello, let you guys know I've also got some pretty neat things set up with Facebook Messenger. So if you are watching on Facebook, go ahead and you can type notes in the comments below, and then we'll have today's show notes sent out to you, and that'll be by Facebook Messenger. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I don't have Facebook Messenger set up, but if you were to go to the address, it's outstanding.video/notes, and then we'll have the same notes delivered to you. It'll just be sent to you by Facebook Messenger. Now, I do have all of these cataloged on a blog. So I've got a WordPress blog. It's at outstanding.live. And it'll refer you to the blog. It'll bring you to the front page, and then it's got a chronological order of all the notes for all the shows. And as more shows go on, it's like a rolling blog. You'll just see the most recent post at the top. So if you're joining in, you're watching the live show, great comment, say hello, let me know what you're doing. But if you're new here, let me know. This is the Outstanding Life Show. My name is Jason, and I want to take a minute and say thank you for stopping by. It really means a lot to me. Today we're actually talking about step 1, yes, and I do have it set up to get these notes sent out to you, and it's all on a blog. But everything folds back onto Facebook. So I go live to Facebook, but I make a recording, or I take the recording, and then I put that up on YouTube. So it doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook or watching the replay. These notes will be made available to you anywhere, anytime. Or if you want to go check out and see what we're going to be talking about in the future, I do have some days posted in advance, so you can go and catch up on those notes or join the conversation. Or if you're going to miss a day, don't worry, we'll have everything sitting there. All right, so getting back to the live show, this is the Outstanding Life Show. I'm just going to switch cameras here, and there we go. This is awesome. I put a lot of work into this and I have a lot of fun with these shows, so I really hope you enjoy these too. So what are we talking about today? Today we're actually talking about, I called it I cannot step in the same stream twice. Now, what do I mean by that? So when you think of a stream, when I think of a stream, when I think of a river or an ocean, when it comes to water, it's always changing. It's always flowing. It's always, there's ebb and flow. So it adjusts and it changes. And if I cannot step into the same stream twice, that means the stream is always changing. And that's kind of obvious, because the stream is never at one place forever. The water is always moving back and forth, and so there's always this constant level of change. And every time it changes a bit, every time a little droplet of water moves, it's no longer the same stream. So that was the reference of I cannot step in the same stream twice, because the stream is always changing. It's always altering its state. So when it comes to life is always changing. When it comes to recovery is never finished. We talked about that before in one of the previous episodes, that there's always going to be change. There's always going to be adjustments. And in all fairness and all transparency, this change is always constant because it's also necessary. If things are always going to be the same, if things are always going to be constant, things can't stay the same way forever. Even time changes everything. So I don't want to say there's nothing that's sacred, because there is. We do have valuable things, and we have valuable thoughts, and we're valuable beings. But when it comes to continuous improvement, never ending, that intuition or that intuitiveness, we're always going to want to push ourselves. And before we can embrace change, like before I jumped into the world of recovery, for me, and this is just me speaking personally, I don't know if you can identify. If you can, let me know. If I'm totally wrong on this assumption, again, let me know. But when it comes to change, before I made this jump into the recovery world, before I made this commitment to a healthy, outstanding life, I was completely afraid of change, and I was terrified of what change would bring. It was this fear of unknown. I had this fear that things were, I knew what this comfortable world was like on this side, but I didn't know what it was going to be like on the other side. And it was that fear of change that would stop me. It was that fear of the unknown would cripple me right in this place. So I can be afraid, and I can make decisions based on that fear. I can make decisions based on the unknown. And if I'm letting that make decisions for me, I'm never really going to move forward. In a previous episode, we talked about being stuck in a rut. And if all I'm ever doing is being stuck in a rut, and if I'm always, I don't want to say moping, but if I'm never willing to push myself outside of that, I'm never really going to experience anything other than that rut. So if I'm sitting in this constant state of wallow, and if I'm just going from one wallow, one low self, one stuck in a rut emotion, I'm never going to want to push myself outside of it. And that's one of the hardest things about pushing myself, is if I don't know any different, if I don't know any better, it's harder for me to want to push through that. And I'm jumping in a little ahead of myself, but there are times when it's hard to see beyond what we see as our circumstance, and it's hard for me to want to entertain the possibility of change or to develop if I don't even know that developing is possible, if I don't know that growth is it took me a while to map in my head that these challenges, that these difficult scenarios, that these, if I'm suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, that even those outrageous fortune is still an opportunity for me to grow. And that circles back to that water idea. I saw this, it was this interview with Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee ended up saying, it was, if you put water into a cup, the water, it becomes the cup. If you put water into an ocean, it becomes the ocean. If you put water into, a sidewalk, it becomes the sidewalk. So the water is always adapting. It's always changing. There's never a one constant state that the water exists. Because then, just like the river is always changing. And so water can be calm and still if it's sitting there, but water can also crash like waves. And if you can be formless, if you can be shapeless, you can be like water. And that, for me, when I saw that video, it was a black and white interview, it was a long time ago, but when I saw that, and I was like, wow, Bruce Lee is really thinking far ahead. A really old soul. And when it comes to being formless and shapeless, I don't think he's referring to like don't have a backbone or don't have a spine, just take the changes as it comes. No, but I think he's referencing like you can adapt and move. You can also be like that ebb and flow. Yes, there's always things that are changing, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have to like everything that changes. But what I can do is perspire through it, or I can push through it, persevere through this. But if I'm just sitting there moping, I'm always going to be that calm state. I'm not going to be happy, fulfilled state. But if I'm willing to push myself outside my comfort zone, if I'm willing to crash like the waves, I can see myself succeeding. And that's not just saying just throw myself up against every challenge, no. But if I anticipate a positive outcome and if I'm willing and I'm committed to push through this, then at least I'll be in a state where, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something I can do. Maybe there's more to this than struggle. Because when life settles down, when things are going, if I'm working my program and things are working well, it's hard to imagine when things don't work. But as soon as one tiny little thing comes in and it upsets my apple cart, it's really hard. If I was really calm before and then one little tiny thing erupts out of nowhere, and if I'm not prepared to deal with it, if I'm not prepared to be that ebb in the flow, if I'm not being like water, then it's very easy for me through conditioning. If I'm just conditioning myself to be in that normal constant state without having any interruption, as soon as one tiny little thing comes in, that'll erupt the whole day. That'll erupt my whole hour, my whole minute. But if I prepare myself, not for the trauma of this angst or frustration, but if I can prepare myself that life is always going to be changing, and if I can adjust my expectation of life to include that change, and if I set my ability and my aspirations to want to change and grow through that change, through that adapting, through that adjustment, I'm no longer looking at this world as if it's this plain level of existence, as if it's this plain level of, if I only ever expect a certain way of living, I'm only ever going to get that. But if I'm willing to push myself outside my comfort zones, if I'm willing to entertain the possibility of success and be willing to put the hard work in, and that's something that's more than just the recovery world, but for me, that's something that's really helped me out. Because if I'm not willing to try, and if I'm sitting there, and if I'm just upset, if I'm angry, if I'm frustrated, if I'm filled with resentment, is that because of my expectation as to how I perceive the world? Or has that got to do with I'm just sitting there and I'm not happy because things aren't going my way? Well, newsflash, Jason, things aren't always going to go my way. And I can't be upset if they're not going my way. But what I can do is ask myself, what part of me wants this to happen this specific way? Is that because I'm conditioned through that? Or is that because I've habitually come to expect that? And then I take it a step further, and then I begin to wonder, well, what part of me is setting that expectation? Is that a fair and real expectation? We talked about that before. Am I setting an unfair expectation of life? Not that I'm not deserving of these things, but maybe I need to be more real about my expectations based on my efforts, what I'm capable of, my current position, where I'm going, and my current drive. And do I have the tools for success? Am I amping myself up for success by preparing myself through working my program? If I'm upset that things aren't working out, am I working my program? Did I put in my 12 steps today? Some people try and aim for 12,000 steps. That's a bit much for me, but I know at least I can work 12. I know I can do my 12. I know I can do that every day. I can't control what happens in life, but I can control what I focus on, what I put my efforts in, what I set my goals on, and then I can begin to work on how am I going to get there. Once I decide what I'm going to do, then I can move forward to make it happen. And that's where the reference to water comes back. Water can be calm and pleasant, or water can come in and crash. And if that's what I want to do, and if that's what I set my sights to, and if that's what my higher power has for me, if that's what my goals are expected, then maybe the challenges are there to help shape me into a person to take on something bigger and better. Maybe there's more to me than just my experience. Maybe there's more value that I offer in the future, but it depends on this one moment. And if I just give up right now, and if I just sit there in a comfortable state, I can't be angry at the situation. I can't be upset. I could feel that for a minute, maybe a minute and a half, but I'm not going to let that ruin my day. I'm going to want to push through that. I'm going to want something more than just that experience. And that requires asking bigger questions of myself. That's where Bruce Lee's comment of, be formless, be shapeless, be like water. So in each one of these episodes, I do want to jump back here. Each one of these episodes, we do have on the Outstanding Life Show, I am adding in a action of the day and a gratitude of the day. And I do want to reference, I've got some notes set up for you in case you want to get these notes sent out to you, if you like what we're talking about, or if you want to find out more. I do have a video series set up, and it's sent to you by Facebook Messenger, and it's at your own convenience, and I can just have the video sent to you. And it's a Q&A. It just asks you what kind of videos do you want to see, and then I have it send it to you. So if you are enjoying this and you want to know more, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, post it down below. You guys send me a lot of questions, and I love that. So I do want to hold an AMA in the future. I think as we round up the month, I'll gather up all the questions you guys have asked, and then we'll go through them together. So let's go jump back in before we finish up. So today's gratitude of the day is, I like to believe, and I firmly, in my heart of hearts, I believe that there is a plan for me, and that my higher power has something in store for me more than what I can see or perceive in this moment. And what I'm doing is I'm now acting on that plan. I'm believing in it so much that I'm going to choose to move forward through this change. And I have to anticipate that there is going to be change. And so for me to anticipate change, I have to be that constant ebb and flow state. If I'm just stagnant, and if I'm in that calm glass of water, and that's all I'm ever going to be, that's not really a fulfilling life for me. That's not what I want. I want something more. And so part of that requires change. And that part is the ebb and flow. That's the water reference. And so I'm thankful that I've got the opportunity that I can change. Okay, so for today's action of the day, today's action is, today I'm going to celebrate changes that I've made in my recovery life. And I appreciate that they're helping me prepare for the trauma of success. You know, of all the things I could prepare for, if I could focus on the negative things, I'm going to drive my little bus into those negative things. But if I focus on something much more realistic, much more positive, and I start making an action plan on how to get there, my brain will help find a way to make that happen. So today I'm going to celebrate those changes that I've already made, because that will help fold that anticipation that I can prepare for the trauma of success. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate this. I love all you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again on a future episode. Okay, take care. Bye.